Because I think the biohacking space, I'm sure you have thoughts on this too, it can go a little bit too far. And now you've got to do 800 morning routines. And you're like, who the hell has time for this? And now I'm more stressed that I got to do all this stuff, which is now not good for my body because I'm stressed. And so lately I've been thinking about what are the basics? What are the things that I think are truly matching biological living that I can do that aren't too crazy, or what can I actually stick to?
An entrepreneur straight out of New York City, Michael Chernow. What's cracking?
For the last 3 months, I've been on a severe gut rebuild. Like,
oh my God, I need to do that too. I got back my stool test.
Okay, so
looking good.
I got back my stool test.
Let's get to know each other by talking about
Let's
our
talk about our shit.
What's better?
And yeah, no, I got my stool test back, and I had Candida, H. pylori, 2 parasites, and
Two worms.
Yeah, me too. 2 worms, pinworm, and something else. I don't remember. And so, yeah, I connected with a coach, and I've got this guy named Vince Pitstick.
Yeah, Vince.
Are you working with Vince?
No, I know Vince. Yeah, because my friend Anna works with him, so I might work with Vince.
Definitely do it.
Do you like
3
it?
months in.
Really? Is it helping your gut?
Game changer.
Do you have to like fast all the time though?
Not yet, but I will be.
Okay, I'm like, Vince, I can't be doing
all
that
right,
too much.
so Angie Lee,
Yeah.
we're talking
we were
about
about your
shit.
parasites for an hour.
Yeah, we're talking about worms in our poop. Let's divert. I've got a question for you.
Yeah.
You're a founder. You are you have a podcast. You're a speaker. And I'm sure there's other things that you do that we'll learn more about. But I just want to talk to you about being a founder of a CPG brand, CBD company.
Yeah.
And now you've recently launched a CBD plus THC company.
Yeah.
What is the hardest thing you've been through, honestly, as a founder? The hardest, if you can close your eyes and think about the hardest, most scary moment that you've been through as a founder, I'd love to hear about it.
I don't think anyone's ever asked me that question.
Here we go.
Wow, we're getting into it.
Right away.
It's so fascinating because, wow, that's probably good that I'm like, I feel like one of my gifts, there's a lot of things I feel like are not my strengths in business, but I kind of always am flipping things like, oh, that will get better, or that's for the best, or, I feel like I'm pretty good at seeing the positive of things. So I've never really sat with something like that. But there was a time where my brother and I own it together, and we started it. And I think it was about 2.5 years in. I remember we were both living in San Diego, LA. I did LA and then San Diego. And I can remember the moment on the beach where he was like, this is working, but this is costing us a lot to do. We're in the red. And I can remember the moment where he looked at me, he's like, this has been fun, but I don't know if we can keep doing this. Like, this is just a lot. And I think for a lot of entrepreneurs, there's that tipping point at about 2 years in where it kind of sucks. It's like the growing pains, where I'm not a parent yet, but I assume it's like when you're like, you're in it. You're just like really in it, but it gets better. But we didn't know it gets better once things are rolling and you have more money to then spend and invest and have a team. And so I can remember that moment of him and I being really nervous because we put our own money into this. We didn't initially take investors. And so my brother was a professional athlete. He was a top boxer. And so he took some of his money from that. I took my money from my brand, from speaking and podcasting and courses and coaching, and I put it into it. I was 26 or 27 when we started. And so I felt like that was a big deal to be young and say, you know what, I'm just going to put money into this and see what happens. So I was fucking terrified because I really was planning on this working out. And so, yeah, I think there was a few of those moments that I would say were really difficult and really scary. Anytime you've put your money on the line, or somebody else's money that you have from investors on the line, it's terrifying. And, I said, if we need to, that's absolutely, like, we got to do what we got to do. You're the numbers guy, you're the CEO, but I'm really happy that we pushed through some of the really, I would say, like, the awkward, crunchy stages of business. What do you think? To get to a place where now we're in the best it's ever been, and it's beyond what we ever thought Soul would become. And I think we almost had to go through some of those years first of like, holy shit, can we do this? So yeah.
What do you think it took? Like, if you had to point to one thing or two things that you essentially committed to or applied in that moment, in those times where it was like, oh shit, like we might have to fold this thing up. Like, what do you think it was?
I think What's funny is my brother's a little bit more risk averse, and I am like, let's spend money to make money. I'm very like, let's just do it. Let's go. And so I think he had to, for the first time, let go and trust a little bit and trust the process and say, we can't do this alone. We had a small team at the time, and we had to hire more people. And so there's this weird moment where you have to spend money in order to obviously hire somebody to come in who's smarter than you, a new, hiring consultants or a CMO or somebody who's done this before to come in. And you have to kind of let go and trust, which is really scary because you want to control this thing. It's like a kid, right? It's like your baby that we've been growing. We're like, no, we know what's best. But there got to a point where we didn't actually know because we only knew so much. My brother's background was as an athlete, and mine was as content creator, speaker, influencer. I didn't know about CPG, DTC, or CBD, all the acronyms. And so we didn't have expertise in e-commerce or DTC. So we had to be humble enough to say, who can we hire right now who's smarter than us, who's just a few steps ahead of us, who can do this? And that's scary because, again, you're like risking putting money into it to see if it's going to come back. And, I'm sure as an entrepreneur, that's really scary. It's terrifying. It's risky. So there was a few moments of that. And just getting really clear on, again, like if you want to get into real nerdy marketing things, I think we've been really good at listening to the customer and what they want and working backwards. And I think anytime we've just got a little too, let's just do this SKU because it sounds cool or because everyone else is doing it in wellness, that's never really worked for us versus doing less better and really niching down and saying, this is what we do. This is what our customers want help with. This is the pain point that we solve, and doubling down on that versus, let's just launch a bunch of SKUs because it looks fun or because everyone else is doing that. So less is more was a huge thing for us too.
Were there any big mistakes that you made that you had to actually like reverse out of?
Yeah, I mean, there was a few SKUs that we launched that we put a lot of money into because we thought people wanted it, or not people wanted. We thought it was the thing to do then, and we ended up losing a lot of money because that SKU did not do well. And it always went back to the home base of people really truly just wanted, our focus is anxiety, sleep, and pain. And whenever we diverted from that, we tried to launch a fat loss, weight loss product, and my gut was like, I don't know, but the team was like, this is what people will want. I'm like, we're not a fat loss brand, and I don't want to be that. And I didn't listen to my gut. I didn't listen to what was true for me, and it ended up like losing a ton of money on that. So it always comes back to, as I'm sure you know, if you don't listen to your intuition on what the right next step is, sometimes that can really cost you a lot.
How do you listen to your customers? Like, what do you do? Like, what is a technique that you use to actually get that feedback?
That's a really good question. I feel like more people should ask that. More people should ask that in marketing and business. So obviously, we have a social team that will ask people. We send out surveys. We email our list. We nurture our email list a lot. But something that I still do to this day that I think is really important, it's tedious for sure, is if anybody tags me in the product, I'm answering every single DM. If somebody likes the product or says this helped me, I'm either voicing or messaging that person back and saying, how did it help you? What did you love? And would you go leave a review on the site? It'll take 5 seconds, leave a review on the site. I'll send you a free product if you do. I am a hustler when it comes to the grassroots of products. I treat every single comment, DM, response, review of it like it's the only person who's ever bought it. And I think that's really paid off. And I'm really, really proud of that because I think there's a lot of founders who don't give a shit. They won't respond to their community because they're busy, which I understand. It gets to the point where you can't. But to this day, like today, there's a few girls who tagged. I'm like, what did you like? Why did you like this leaf drink? Oh, cool. What would you do different? What And I'm just kind of like seeing if there's then themes. And I'm like, wow, it's so crazy that I've heard from everybody this same thing that they're feeling. And I'll take their language and then I'll put it on our sales page. So then when people are reading, they're like, she's in my head. I'm like, well, yeah, because Cindy, Becky, and Sarah 10 minutes ago just said that's how they feel. And I assume that's probably how you're going to feel, So I am obsessed with listening to the customer because it helps you with your copy too. You could just take what they're saying and be like, oh my God, this is how people want to feel. So
you know what I do Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 3 to 6 p.m.?
Take
a guess.
Take stool tests. No,
yes. Yes. No, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 6 p.m.
Wait, I love that this is so scheduled. You're my idol already. Wow.
It's
Mine's not scheduled. It's messy. I need to get scheduled with it.
Well, it's because I'm trying to scale the unscalable.
Ooh,
and as the CEO of the company,
yeah.
If I'm trying to scale the unscalable, I have to schedule it out.
Yeah.
Monday, Wednesday, Friday from 3 to 6 p.m., I open up my Shopify and I open up my orders and I start at the top and I call customer after customer after customer after customer.
You just beat me. Wow. I thought I was cool in the DMs. You're picking up the phone.
I call them.
This is very 90s.
It is.
Let's bring it back to the 90s.
Here's the deal. It is. A, like I get like real direct feedback. B, I'm developing like real community. And C, I'm actually learning. I'm finding out, and I've found out that, you know, you don't get to see how old people are when you see their name or when somebody DMs you necessarily. You don't get to like see
anything about them.
Really.
Yeah.
And so in this sort of relatively new, in the last 8 months kind of adventure I've taken, it's self-serving. Not because self-serving for the company, it's self-serving for me because I get to hear the stories.
Feels real.
From these people.
Yeah, I mean, everything's so virtual now, right? Think about it. You have this physical product that goes to someone's house. You don't see that part. And then she takes it and consumes the product. And then you're getting this digital thing in a bank account, these numbers that equals money. And then it's just this cyclical nature of where's the human? So if you're like me or somebody who craves that human connection with your brand, I bet you get so excited when you hear their voice on the phone. You're like, oh, this is a real human.
Because it takes, I would say I probably make 30 phone calls in that 3-hour period of time. And
oh my gosh.
but only 5 or 6 pick up.
You're amazing.
If I'm lucky.
This is amazing. I hope you become a billionaire because you deserve it. You're sitting there doing the calling. I love this. Do people ever like, are they like weirded out? Or are they like,
no, they don't believe that it's me.
They think it's like an AI voice.
Yeah, no. They think it's like somebody that works
Customer service.
And I'm like, no. Like, not only is it me, but now you have, because I call from my personal cell phone. I'm like, not only is it me, but you now have my personal cell phone number. So if you ever have an issue, do me a favor, lock me in and call me.
Are you going to get some creeps though? Some stalkers?
I haven't yet.
Some girls in your bushes?
I've had customers call me after I've spoken to them.
Wow.
And by the way, one of them happened to be a super high level executive at CrossFit.
Okay, cool.
And so he called me up the other day and was like, "Hey, CrossFit is just announced that they're doing we're doing the CrossFit Games in Albany next year, and we'd love to work with you."
Oh my gosh!
And I'm like, boom, like, you know, these things are happening, right? Like, I've called so many people, and anyway, it's not about me, but I'm just I love the fact that you mentioned listening to your customers, because I really do think a lot of founders and a lot of entrepreneurs build businesses for them. You know, and I think that ultimately is always how it's going to start for the most part. Like you either have an itch that you want to scratch through a business, or you think that there's a hole in the market that is not fully fulfilled. Right. Yeah. Or you look at the competitive landscape and you're like, well, they're doing that, but it's not great. Like, maybe I can bring something to the table. But then once you're there, I think if you're not thinking about the consumer, or if you're not making their response to your product a massive part of your marketing strategy. So I love that you said that. Yeah,
it's almost like I don't know if it's Rick Rubin or I'm reading The Creative Act right now, which is such a good book. I think they say 1 for you, 2 for them, which is basically like any artist or creative, 1 for you. Like, paint the painting because you like it, sing the song because you like it, write the song you like, and then make 1 for them. And I always think about that with artists. It's like half of the time they're probably doing it for me because they think I need this song. And then maybe Taylor Swift's like, fuck it, I like this song. It's for me because I want to express this. So I kind of think it's the same. Like, sometimes I'm creating a product usually for them, but sometimes I'm like, I like this. I want to do this. So how do you both be happy? I feel like is the dance. And one last thing I'll say that I think is interesting, if anybody listening does work with a family member, working with a sibling, I think is awesome. But anytime you work with family, I think there's a dynamic there can be really beautiful and hard. Because we're extremely close, my brother and I, but it's also, I don't know if you've ever worked with family, but it's like, it's the best thing ever because you love and trust this person so much. But then also it's like, damn, this is also your family. So you're like, we never turn it off.
Well, it's also super easy to be like, fuck off.
Yeah. I kind of miss also when I saw him just my brother too. So I'm kind of excited for that again one day where it's like, oh, and when we hang out, we're able to stop talking about business and have that healthy separation. But sometimes we're not. And I'm like, man, I see you now as a business partner sometimes, which that's like the last thing you want to stress about with family is money, right? It's like, I just want to hang out. I want to have fun. I want to enjoy life with you. I don't want to be stressed about like money and blah, 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 and ROAS. And I don't want to talk about that stuff with you. So that's the only thing I will say is there's a beauty to that, but there's also a difficulty to that. So
I think you and I have a very similar trait in common, which is just overly uncautiously optimistic.
Probably, yeah. I hope I am. I'm trying to be.
I think that as an entrepreneur in a super competitive world, you kind of have to have that, and not all entrepreneurs do. I mean, a lot of the smart ones don't, you know.
Yeah.
And a lot of the smart ones end up closing their businesses, quite frankly, because they really, really analyze the data to the point of making anything that could potentially seem impossible on paper, the end of the road, right? Like, okay, this doesn't look like it's headed down the right direction. Obviously, we're going to run out of money here.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Yeah, I think it's good to have the balance. I'm the creative, I'm the visionary, I'm ADD, I've got all the weird ideas. I'm like, let's do this, then we'll do this, and people will love this. And Mike is more numbers, logical, left brain. So when we come together, it's really nice. I think if I worked with me, I don't know if we'd get much work done. So I think you have to balance it out. I think that's
100%.
really healthy to have massive self-awareness on what are the strengths that I bring. Oh, I bring a level of creativity and ideas that he may not have or be risky enough to have. And then he's able to be like, yo, hold on. We're not spending, I don't know, $2 million on these bags right now, or this gift box that you want to make. Like this, like let's bring it back down to reality. So I think it's kind of fun to also have that male-female dynamic also in business. So any business I do, I always think it's really cool to have women, men, and then left brain and right brain people. I think we all need each other to kind of balance each other out. So
yeah, you and I are the same
really
way. And the way I kind of describe it to other people is like, and this is for me anyway. In my experience, I've founded 3 companies and I've exited the first 2, and I had partners in the first 2. I don't have a partner in Creatures of Habit. And what I found for me, and this is only like an experience that I can speak to, is that like I function far better without a partner.
Wow.
But I love being told, hey dude, you're doing 60 in a 30 and there's fucking speed bumps, dude. You got to slow it down.
Yeah.
And I love being able to say, holy shit, you're totally right. Like, let me pump the brakes. Or you gotta have faith. You have no idea that I just put new shocks on this thing.
Yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
Like we're working.
Such a funny analogy.
We're working with like the best shocks in the world. So like, just buckle up.
And how old are you?
44.
Okay. So I'm 34. So you're exactly 10 years older than me. Well, you're a man, so I don't know. I feel like you guys just you're in your prime. But like, do you feel your energy and that passion, that drive, has that changed? Or is it, you know what I mean? That sense of like starting things and selling things, is it different now in your 40s?
Oh, I feel like I haven't even begun.
I love that.
That's the way
That's
I feel.
so great. Yeah. My fiance's 48 and he feels like he's like, I'm just getting started too.
Yeah. And
it's funny as a woman because I'm like, oh my God, am I going to be tired then? Like, I'm going to be done with that.
And I also feel like I'm like don't know shit. I really do.
So
like,
cool.
I kind of feel like, I'm just so... every day, I'm learning, and I surround myself with a lot of people. And I think obviously I've built confidence in being able to, like, I think it really does come down to that optimism. Yeah. For me, it's just like, hey man, like, just, do what you think is right and be able to like pull the plug fast if it doesn't work. I
love that. I think that's so cool. And it's very like Gary Vee talks about this a lot too, right? I think our society has made you think, all right, if it's not, you don't have it all figured out by 30, you're screwed. And I'm like, I feel like my life is just getting started.
Gary's the lead investor in my company.
Oh, really? So cool. Gary. I love Gary. I just love Gary.
I want to talk to you about, the Kreatures of Habit Podcast. So really what we talk about here is obviously we tell stories and I get to meet really cool people that are doing really cool things that are inspiring. But I also really like to talk about habits, rituals, and routines because that is ultimately the ethos and what motivated me to want to create Kreatures of Habit, the brand. Do you have a morning routine?
I love this question. I was just talking to my friend earlier about this because I want to be a mom soon. And so I've been having some interesting thoughts about this concept of how I have all this time right now to, I could red light therapy for 7 hours and meditate for another 10 hours. I could do whatever the fuck I want right now, pretty much, right, with my time. At least I think it's pretty flexible. So we were laughing today because she was like, dude, just wait for your morning routine. Once you have kids, it's going to be like, wake up, brush your teeth. All right, who needs me? And I was like, wow, I'm really trying to enjoy this time in my life, this season, right before. I don't know what it'll be like to wake up and not have, and actually have to, like my first thought will be someone else, right? But I'm sure I will still need to obviously do things for myself. But it was just funny. We were just talking about this today. I try to keep it pretty simple, but I'm obsessed with 2 things, which is sunlight. I think circadian stuff is absolutely fascinating and so important for women's hormones, brain health, everything. So I do try to get out into the sun as soon as possible. So I'm a psychopath who the minute I'm up, I have only red bulbs in our house. And so I'll turn the red bulbs out. We have salt lamps everywhere. I'll shut those off and then I'll go outside. I'll go into the backyard or I'll walk the dog. And I think that is so important for setting your day. I do a lot of ice stuff, but I don't do ice plunging. So I'll do ice on my face. I'll stick my head in like a like a bucket of ice.
I've seen a lot of that.
It's great. It's fun. It wakes you up. It feels so good. So I'll do a lot of that. I have ice roller. I like ice on my face in the morning to wake me up and get some dopamine as well. So honestly, sun and ice are huge for me. And then movement. I was an athlete most of my life. So for me, it's like I can't not move. I will go crazy if I don't move. And so usually it's a walk. I do a lot of weighted vest walks right now. So then I'm getting my steps, my sun, a little bit of strength training in. Maybe I'll ice roll on that walk, if I really want to just look like a crazy person in my neighborhood. And that's honestly what I'm focusing on right now. And then by 9-ish is when I like to be done with all of that. So then I can get into anything creative, whether that's content, podcasting, meetings. So that's what I like to do right now. I'm pretty much obsessed with the sun right now, trying to play with circadian stuff. Because I think the biohacking space, and I'm sure you have thoughts on this too, it can go a little bit too far. And now you've got to do 800 morning routines. And you're like, who the hell has time for this? And now I'm more stressed that I got to do all this stuff, which is now not good for my body because I'm stressed. And so lately I've been thinking about what are the basics? What are the things that I think are truly matching biological living that I can do that aren't too crazy, or what can I actually stick to? So
the non-negotiables.
Yeah, the non-negotiables that I think for the rest of my life, even with kids and even with life getting busier, I can still stick to versus thinking, okay, I got to also like chant for 5 minutes and then do breath work and then stick a yoni egg up my butthole. And then also like, it's just like the biohacking space, it's like, yo, bro, some of these guys online, I'm like, what are they doing?
So you know what?
Crazy.
Here's the interesting thing about that, right? Like, so I have all the things, and there was periods of
the
time.
yoni eggs, okay.
Yeah, I don't stick anything in my butt. That's actually not true.
Butt sunning.
I do stick things in my butt.
Okay, is it an enema? Let's hope it's an enema.
Yes.
I hope it's an enema.
It is an enema.
But no judgment if not, because we just met, so I don't know.
So part of my
butt sunning.
gut,
I tried a butt sun too.
I've never butt sunned.
What? You're missing out on life. You're just outside in your backyard.
You just
5 minutes.
You do that?
No, well, I not right now because my neighbors could see, but hopefully the next place we move to, you just lay naked in the sun just 5 minutes a day. It's really good for you.
Okay.
Think about our clothes. Like, it's so bad that our body isn't getting the red light.
Okay.
So
I appreciate that.
New biohack for you.
But I do,
sure your wife will love that one.
So when I started this gut cleanse,
Yeah.
Vince from Vital Coaching was like, you know, part of this thing is going to be enemas. I've never done an enema before. I had no idea what I was, no idea what to do.
Okay.
So I was like, dude, you're going to have to walk me through this, man. This is fucking scary.
It's way scarier than it is.
It sounds way scarier than it is. Actually, I'm obsessed with it. And I'm not obsessed with shoving the thing in my butt. I am obsessed with the feeling I get when I'm done with a coffee enema.
Yeah, it does feel nice.
Fucking A.
It feels great. You're like, whoa, you feel like you put contacts in. You're like,
yes.
Wow.
It's like,
yeah.
The only thing that I can actually, it's very funny, but like I've been in sobriety, I've been sober for 20 years, but I do remember before I got sober, when I was a teenager specifically, I loved ecstasy. It was like my favorite thing.
I've never done it, but I want to.
Oh, so many.
MDMA?
Well, MDMA was really not even available when I was using ecstasy. It was ecstasy. It was like in the 90s. Yeah. And I took a shit ton of it. Like I'm talking about, like I've probably done it over 1,000 times, like a lot of times.
Oh my God, I have so many questions for you now.
Yeah, like the first thing that happens that I remember is everything becomes very crystal clear. Wow. Everything you look at it's like it just becomes super vibrant for me. And it's not like I'm like seeing visions and things moving. It's just like, boom, the sky is bluer, the trees are greener, the grass is greener. Like everything's
like
just
all your brain fog's gone.
It's just like very, very crystal clear. And I get that after a coffee enema.
Wow. Mine's not that amazing. Wow, I'm missing out. I got to, whatever coffee beans you're using.
No, you got to find, so there's a company called Pure Life. Life. And they make a... They make a very, very strong. It's gold. It's not even roasted coffee. It's like they're like light color. It's like a ground. It's intense shit.
Okay.
No,
you gotta be careful.
No pun intended.
Yeah.
But pun intended, I guess. And it's like poof, like it's very, very intense, in a good way though. But now, because I'm deep into this gut cleanse, like I'm having to enema like 3 to 4 times a week.
Oh, wow. You're doing them a lot right now.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. I'm more in I don't have parasites or anything, which was good. I just am trying to get my good gut bacteria back up. I think from stress, I just kind of like, my good gut bacteria went down. So I'm not doing enemas right now, but I'm trying to do more just like prebiotic rich foods, probiotics, more like healing, like adding things in versus like detoxing stuff out. But there was a season where I did enemas and colonics and they were really fun. I liked them, They're like, I feel like every health person needs to try it once. It's not as crazy as people think. I think people think it's going to be gross, but then once you've done it, you're like, oh, that's not a big deal.
No.
You just lay on your bathroom floor, watch a YouTube video.
Totally.
It's great.
But it's not easy. I mean, it hurts. Like there's moments like for me where I'm like, oh, like I feel like I'm going to explode. And
what does your wife say about this?
She is not stoked on it. She wants nothing to do with it.
You'll just be like, I got to go.
She knows what I'm doing. As soon as that pot of coffee goes on, she's like, oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I mean, there's seasons for it. Again, just like anything in wellness, you could overdo enemas then. And your body is like, yo, we need some good gut, we need the good bacteria too. Don't be flushing out everything. And so I think like anything, you have to be working with someone to properly cycle it.
Yeah.
I think everything needs to be cyclical. Every single supplement, every single biohack, everything has to be in cycles. If you do anything good for too long, I think it's not good either. And I think there's women who like will do enemas like every day because they feel so good. And it's like, well, I think your body digestive system needs to know how to do it itself too. So I just question how often we should be doing everything, Do
you have an evening wind down routine?
Oh yes, I'm a baby grandma. That's my name of my community is the baby grandmas because I'm obsessed with sleep. So I do a lot. I want
to hear all about the sleep stuff.
I'm obsessed. I mean, what time is it now? I got to start the sleep routine now so I can be in bed by 9. So it's usually like a 2-hour thing. So again, going back to light, I turn on all the red light bulbs in the bedroom, in the bathroom, everything like that. So I love salt lamps as well. It's really good for melatonin, obviously, to shut off all blue light. So I'll do that, put on my blue light blocking glasses. I try not to be on a lot of technology at night, but if I am, I wear the blue light blocking glasses. I'll usually do some sort of melatonin, some sort of magnesium, obviously our sleep drink or our sleep gummies here and there, but those I will cycle every few days. Sometimes I'll do a bath if I'm feeling it. I love baths. What else am I doing? Tongue scraping. Got to do my whole skincare routine. It's a whole thing, Give
it to us.
I'm trying to think what else I do that's weird. People think it's weird. Like if my friends like come over, like, dude, what is all this shit you're doing? Sometimes I'll sit in front of the red light a little bit. Like the bulbs are red, but then we also have a huge red light panel. So sometimes I'll sit in front of that. And
your fiance is all about this too?
Yeah, he's like 90% about it. Do you know what I mean? But there's like the 10% of him, he's just a guy's guy. And like, he's not like, he's like, dude, calm down. Like you just need to like live your life, And I'm like, no, he won't wear the glasses yet. So he'll like watch Netflix at night. And I'm like, you're going to die. He's like, no, I'm not. He's a little bit more realistic. And I'm like a psycho about it. I'm like, you gotta put the glasses on.
So do you track your sleep?
So I did for a while. I tracked on Aura. Right now I don't as much. But yeah, I did for a little bit. But I found again that I got almost
obsessed.
Yeah, a little obsessed with it. And I think that there's a time and a place to be obsessed with your wellness. And there's a time and a place to trust the body and to not be so obsessive about everything, because that can also lead to more stress. Sometimes I'll do a little bit of, that's more so morning. I have like a mini trampoline to get the lymphatic system going. Oh, I have this little machine. Okay. It's like this little, this little like chi lymph machine it's called for your feet. Have you ever seen this?
No.
Amazon, $20. Chi lymph machine. And you stick your legs in it and it just kind of like gets your chi moving.
Wow.
So nice. And it just relaxes your body. I love doing that. Yeah, hot shower or hot bath will be great. Sometimes I'll drink some tea. I try to stop eating. Again, I match my eating with the sun a bit too. So what I'll do is once it's dark, that's my last meal. So I usually eat dinner. Like I eat my dinner. I mean, I'm a grandma. I eat my dinner at like 6 and I will not eat again until tomorrow. So I do nighttime fasting-ish, you could say, nothing hardcore, but I like at least a 15 to 16 sometimes, depends, break.
So what time do you eat?
My stomach. I'll stop at like 6 p.m. and then I'll eat again in the morning, like 7:30ish. 7:30.
So I got a question for you. So
I do think in the morning is important.
What time do you go to bed?
When I feel my best is like 9 or 9:30. I feel so good. But realistically, usually it's like 10:30 if I'm like watching a show I like, or I'm like.
So you'll
you
go
know.
from 6 to 10:30 without eating anything.
Yeah. But I'm eating enough throughout the day. Like I love breakfast. I think it's really good for blood sugar for women, especially. I think women's bodies, it's really good to have. I think women's bodies and men's bodies are very different when it comes to some of these things. Like I think your body can endure more of the fast than women. I think we'd be a little bit more delicate with that. So I won't fast any other time, just at night. It depends. If I'm really hungry when I get home after this, I'll have something. Maybe like I'll do a scoop of chocolate protein or a little bit of Greek yogurt. So nothing like heavy carbs or anything, but I'll do that at night if I'm really feeling it. But if I feel good, I'm going to let my digestive system have a break. Do you think that's crazy or?
No. But like, I just know that like, you know, so we have dinner at 6 every night.
Yeah. Nice.
And then I go to bed at 9:30, 10 every night.
I love this.
And but between 6:45 after 6:30 after I take my last bite and like 9:30, 10, like there's no doubt. And I have a severely brutal sweet tooth. Like I have a sweet tooth from hell.
You want chocolate.
You know, and I've been a competitive athlete, right? In a couple of different sports, in a couple of different arenas. And in some of those arenas, like, you know, I've especially if I'm in a cut, like I have to like very, very, very diligently like have a conversation with myself and just fight the urge to want to put something in my mouth, right?
Yeah.
Do you ever get those cravings after you have your last meal that you have to like walk away from?
What sports did you do? I'm curious.
Well, for years I competed in Muay Thai.
Oh, okay. So you know the fighting world.
Yeah.
Well, Muay Thai, yeah.
And then I competed in bodybuilding and I became a pro bodybuilder.
Okay. Yeah, I did bikini shows.
Okay.
I did shows.
So you know the deal.
I was about
like
to say.
That's very, very different.
I did a lot, many times in my life.
Totally fucked up my hormones.
Oh. And your relationship with food and everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And then endurance racing. So I did I did like long distance running.
Yeah, it's so funny because my brother did boxing, so I've seen my brother obviously that life of it's so interesting. You have to cut weight, but then you have to maintain performance. So you got to cut weight and get lean and get all the water out of you to step on the scale to the night before, and then you go fight this guy and you got to all of a sudden have energy and power. I'm like, this is so messed up. So I've seen him diet a lot, and then me, I did about 19 to 23. I decided it would be smart to do bikini and figure shows. So I did that world, which, I mean, I wish I had more good things to say about it. I mean, I'm sure I learned something out of it, but it was intense. And
Well, you learned a lot about nutrition.
I did. I was a gymnast most of my life growing up. So I already had a good muscle base and I already was really athletic, but it took it to a level of obsession that I think wasn't healthy then.
Totally. Of
counting every single calorie, crying in the car once because I had 6 extra almonds. I mean, I was like, oh my God, am I going to be fat tomorrow? I had 6 extra almonds. I mean, I just feel so bad for 20-year-old Angie who was that obsessed. And yeah, to get up there on stage and you're wearing this bikini and you have like an 8-pack and you're like, I hope these 6 creepy dudes in front of me give me a good score. It's like, dear God, what was I doing? You know?
Totally.
Like, get a life.
Totally.
But I loved it. I loved the challenge. And I think that then for a while messed with me I had a weird relationship with nighttime eating, and because I always felt like the deprivation. But now I don't diet like that. I don't do 2 hours of cardio a day. So my body feels safer now. So I don't feel the need for that. But if I do, I think I'm a really active person. I think I'll have something. Like I was going to say, you're probably super active, right? You work out a lot. Your body probably needs like a little protein cookie then before bed. Live it up.
I call it the last meal smoothie.
You don't need to be 6% body fat, do you?
No, I call it the last meal smoothie. I basically have a smoothie every single night.
Oh, you have a smoothie?
I have a smoothie every night, like a protein smoothie that I make.
I've never heard a smoothie at night.
Oh, I do a thick smoothie that I eat with a spoon.
Like ice cream?
Yes.
Oh, and it's chocolate?
I like vanilla.
Okay,
but
never mind. Canceled. Canceling you.
But I'm a big. It's
a good idea.
It's so good.
You're basically having ice cream.
Basically, it's a cup of ice, a half a cup of frozen blueberries, a quarter cup of frozen riced cauliflower to just thicken it up.
Yeah.
A little scoop of MCT oil, a scoop and a half of protein, and almond milk.
Oh.
And it's like thick and satiating and epic.
That's great. Or get the we just got the Ninja Creamy.
Oh yeah, that thing is pretty.
You can literally make legit protein ice cream. You might need that. I see this for you. Enemas and ice cream.
Enemas and ice cream, all me. Let's
this is
go.
who you are.
But I think it's no surprise to me that you've been a competitive athlete and now you're an entrepreneur, and like it's just
I've been hard on myself most of my life. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So like, what is that conversation that you have with yourself? What like when
Yeah.
Like, why do you think you need to continue to attack? Why are you attacking?
Yeah. I don't feel it as much anymore. I'll be honest. I think I'll be 35 in March, and I think I'm at an interesting place now as a woman where I think so much of, if I'm really honest, and you're a parent, right? You have one kid or two?
Two.
Oh, I think a lot of it came from my dad. I think that he was an entrepreneur. He was very, you're first, or if you're last, you lost. Like there is no second place. Like a really tough dad who I think raised me to be somebody who worked really hard. And I think if I filtered out the good parts of that, it gave me my ambition, my drive, my creativity, my desire for more. But I think that can go too far, especially the male-daughter relationship. I think it made me feel like it's never enough. Like I got to get first place. I got to run faster. I got to make more. I got to get more money, followers, it never ended. So it wasn't until the last few years now that I've really come to a place of what is really success for me. And what does that look like? And what is that going to look like with a family? And I think that anybody who's been successful in sports or athletics or in business, sports or business will tell you there gets to a point where you don't really feel it anymore. So you're like, oh shit, I thought this would feel different. And so that's kind of the exploration I've been on the last few years, to be really honest with you, is like, what's next? Because what I thought it would feel like, it kind of does, but it's not the full picture. Which is, I'm sure you know what I mean by this. It's like you assume it's going to be the dopamine hit that it is, and then you realize, oh, it is, but also the sense of fulfillment is, it has to come from something deeper. It has to come from, I think, family or your self-love. It has to come from other things. It can't just be like, well, now I've got this amount of money in my bank. All right, I'm set. Now I'm happy. That's not how life works.
I think about it like this. This is kind of like how I try to articulate it, right? Mm-hmm. So mountaineers, specifically like elite mountaineers, their number one sort of North Star in their arena is like Mount Everest, right?
Yeah.
And, they climb, and sometimes it takes 3 weeks to get up to the top because there's weather and there's this, but really, they're climbing most of the time. And then the select few that get to the top of Mount Everest, they get to the top of Mount Everest and they're there for like, I don't know, maybe a minute and a half. And they look to their left and they look to their right and they like, I've made it to the top of the world. And they high five their friend, they give a hug, and then they walk down.
Oh my God, that's like so sad.
Yeah, but
it's the journey.
But so it's the journey, right?
Yeah.
And so the fulfillment, I think, for me and for you and for people like us and for a lot of the people that are listening to the podcast, I don't think the fulfillment is in the destination in any way. I think the fulfillment is the just constant pursuit to climb.
And how old are your kids? 9
and 7.
9 and 7. Okay. Do you feel that? How did that change your concept? I mean, as a man, it may be different than how women see it. I mean, who knows? But how did that change your relationship with what is success? Like, did they drive you more, or do you just see it as like, how does that change it?
Business and fitness and all that shit is nowhere near in comparison to the fulfillment I get from my family.
But you still see why it's important to have those things so they could see that too, right?
I love having a balance of business, fitness, and family.
Yeah.
And quite frankly, like, all those things are super important, but they're not my number one priority.
Yeah.
My number one priority is me. And not in a selfish way, in a way of, I know that if I don't show up confident in myself, and the way I get there is through like a bunch of things that I do super early in the morning, that my ability to be an amazing dad, because that's the number one thing for me, an amazing dad, amazing husband, like those two things. Like, I say my number one priority is me, and not because I am like the most important thing in my life, because I'm not. Yeah. But if I don't make myself the priority, there's no way I can be there as the guy I want to be for the most important thing in my life, which is my wife and my kids. Yeah, absolutely. No, I think I get that. You're saying, but it's a byproduct of you taking care of you actually makes you the person that you need to be for them. 100%. And that's where you see a lot of parents, I feel like, get into a place of they've given up almost like this self-sacrifice
and in a way where it actually would have been more beneficial for them to keep some of themselves for their kids to see that, to then be inspired by that. And so they can serve from a full cup. But I'm sure that dance is hard.
It's hard.
Right? Because when you're working, you want to be with them.
possible.
When you're with them, you're probably thinking about work. It's like, it's just the dance of life.
I think I do think that there is, there's a lot of like you'll hear, work-life balance isn't a real thing.
Yeah.
And I just disagree.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah. Because I know so many people who have it balanced.
Yeah, you set a boundary.
Yeah.
And if you can't get done what you were planning on getting done that day, it's all good, but you stick to the boundary because tomorrow is another day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I think help. If you can get to the place in life where you've worked hard enough, or you've created the ability or the opportunity, I should say, where you can outsource things to get help, like I think that's the key. I don't think we're meant to do all of this alone. I think you need to get a team to help, whether that's things at the home or things in the business. I think that's the secret. Anybody I know who's successful, who's doing both, because I'm obsessed with that concept right now. Like, how am I going to do both? Like, I want to figure it out. They all have a lot of help, like a lot of help, if they're being honest. They just don't post that sometimes. So then you're thinking like, wow, how does this girl, she's a successful entrepreneur and she's got 3 kids and how is she doing it all? And she's healthy. But you're like, oh, I didn't see that she's got someone meal prepping and cleaning her house. And she also has, a nanny. And then you don't see the whole dance of how it's all actually working. All you see is like the cute picture on Instagram. And you're like, shit, how am I going to do that? So I think behind anyone who's doing both is support and is a team, right? I mean, I'm sure you have support in your life, hopefully. Yeah.
As much as I can get.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think the kind of number one piece is like, if I'm asked about, hey, if there's one piece of advice, what would you say to yourself at 21 years old? Yeah. It would be ask for as much help as humanly possible, so much so that it makes you incredibly uncomfortable. When you're like, I don't want to ask for help for this. Yeah. I know that I should be able to do this alone. Yeah. Like, ask for the help. Like, ask for the fucking help.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
If there's people listening to the podcast that are sort of in the beginning stages of entrepreneurship or athleticism, or just like on the verge of wanting to take the leap. Yeah. What would you say has been something that you can point to that has just sort of kept you going, even through the hardest times? Like if there's one thing that you can really kind of think about not in like a technical way, like what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's like really, really contemplating whether or not it's the right thing for them to do?
Yeah. That's such a good way to phrase it. You mean more so for business, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cause say athletics, I feel like is so different, but I do think that athletics taught me a lot about like discipline and knowing what it's like to work hard towards something. But, I think you have to find the thing that it's so cheesy, but I finally really feel this now. I think you have to find the thing that lights you up. And I just think that I don't know, maybe it sounds kind of like morbid and weird, but I've always, since I was a little girl, I've always thought about that we have one shot here. And to me, life is a game. Like, it's just a game. Like, this is just a silly little game. We're on a blue ball right now in space. Like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know what I mean? Go watch Interstellar, best movie ever. And it will just, you realize like we're just like this little tiny dot, like these little organisms hanging out on this ball in these galaxies, right? So I don't take life too seriously. And that's just the comedian in me. Like, I create a lot of comedy content because I think that if you don't take it so seriously, it actually works out in your favor better. Like, everyone's so serious about fitness and business. And it's like, guys, it's all a game. It's all a game. Like, it's not that serious and we're all going to die. So I think I've always had that attitude, which has allowed me to do things that embarrass me or try things that didn't work out, or I don't know. Like, I have, my relationship with fear is different because I have such a good relationship with the fact that this is a game, if that makes sense.
It totally makes sense.
And I don't know where I got that, but I've always had that since a young age. I'm like, oh, this is a fucking game. Let me play it. Let me see how I can play this. And you realize there's rules, but there's really no rules. And I think about my 90-year-old self and I want to know that she went for it and she played full out and she tried things and she used her gifts. I think if you're healthy right now and you're listening to this and you're able to see and hear and like you have all your senses and you have a healthy, able body, like, you're so fucking lucky. Like, there's people who wish they could feel that way. And so for me, I feel like I'm really, so cheesy to say, but I feel like I'm blessed. Like, why not? Like, there's people who wish that they had the opportunity to do the things that I can do. So I'm kind of like, I might as well do my best with it, right? I don't know. Anytime I'm like feeling like shit, there always will like be somebody on the street who like obviously like is in a wheelchair or is homeless or something. And I'm just like, oh, fuck, why am I complaining right now? Like, why am I complaining about this day that stressed me out, you know? So I think reality checks are always really good. And yeah, I just think we take it too seriously.
Bring levity to it.
Yeah, you got to just fart around.
Fucking fart around.
You got to fucking fart around and find out.
I love it. Like if you had to win every single game you played,
yeah,
the chances of you playing Monopoly as a kid or poker as an adult like wouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Right? Like you can't expect to win every one.
No, you can't. Yeah.
The most learning I've had in my life is in the losses.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Why does it have to be that way though? You know? I don't know what you believe in, but sometimes I think that I'm like, why did God do that? Like, why can't we learn from the ups? You know, maybe we can also. Maybe we rewrite that. But for sure, you do learn when you're scared and down and out. But then it builds that resiliency. So yeah, I think that's a gift that I love to share with others. Is I want to bring levity and humor, but I also want people to not take the experience so seriously, because I see like at my events I host for women, it's like women will say, oh, I want to speak on stage. Is that so scary? I'm like, it kind of is, but also when you kind of look at it bird's eye view, it's like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? You think someone's going to be like, boo, you suck. Like, that's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Even with podcasting, like, what's the worst thing that's going to happen?
You know, I think like I want to close it right there.
I don't know. I might have something wrong in my brain though, too.
I want to say one thing that I think is like, it's such a great example of what you're saying. You know, there's always one or two people at like a party that like will be on the dance floor and just going for it.
That's me.
Yeah, just going for it. Does not care.
Yeah.
You know, like I growing up in New York City, there's always like musicians playing in the train station, and then there's always just this one woman or man that's just kind of like in there, just
vibing.
Like, totally like, you know, and you're like, what are they thinking?
Yeah.
And they're like living their fucking lives. They're playing the game.
Yeah.
They're playing the game.
Yeah.
And like, it doesn't matter if they win or lose. It doesn't matter if people are laughing at them. It doesn't matter if they look good or not.
Yeah.
They're playing the fucking game. And I love that you said that, because I think that is such a great piece for the listeners to just take away. Yeah. It's a game, and if it's your choice to play it or not.
Yeah. Main character energy.
Main
Be
character.
the main character. And I think also, you know, you're listening to a podcast right now, so I'm sure you love personal development. Like, a huge part of personal development is having fun. Like, this is supposed to be fun. We're supposed to have a good time. Like, this is supposed to be fun. Business is supposed to also be enjoyable. Fitness is also supposed to feel really good. Find movement that you love. Find foods that you love that are obviously healthy. Have a career that you can find some joy in. I don't think we're here to be just like so rigorous to the point where we hate our lives every day, but we have discipline. Like, I think we're meant to have joy, right? So I think some of this, you know, with health and fitness, it can go so far that people feel more miserable. They're like, shit, now I hate what I eat and I hate how I work out. I'm like, I don't know, go to a dance class, do something else for cardio then. Find the joy. And then in business too, I'm always asking myself, how can I make this more fun? How can I make this more enjoyable? Like, if it's a really boring thing, I'm like, oh my God, how can I make this more fun right now?
Like when you're going through a P&L?
Yeah. I mean, I'm not the CEO, thank God. I would stick a pencil in my eyeball, but I don't know, like, just there's certain moments where things are still, they feel like a lot. I'm like, okay, reframe. How can I make this more fun right now? Because this is supposed to be somewhat enjoyable. So I'm always trying to like reframe it.
Angie fucking Lee, you're amazing.
Oh, thank you.
You're so much fun to hang with.
This was so fun.
Totally fun.
Yeah.
Tell us where people can find you, your business.
Yeah. Absolutely. You guys can go to angielee.com. You guys can follow me at Angie Lee Show, and soul is getsoul.com or at get.soul on Instagram.
You're amazing. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you, Mr. Enema.
I'll take the Mr. Enema. You guys heard it. Angie Lee is such an amazing character that I just got to meet today. I love being able to like get an introduction through social media to bring inspiring people on the podcast. Life is a game, y'all. And I'm walking away with that piece that I'm going to take with me in my back pocket. And whenever shit goes down, I'm going to remember it's a game. And games traditionally are there to provide fun. And if it's not fun, friends, fuck it. Make it fun. I hope you guys got some value out of this one. I know I certainly did. Share this podcast with a friend, a family member. That is the price you pay to listening to this bad boy. Hit the subscribe button. Give us a 5-star rating and a review if you're feeling super fucking generous. I love you guys. I appreciate y'all. Until the next one. Peace.